this is Pamela Worth with the Encourage Your Wellness podcast. And today I have with us Dr. Darshan Shah. And Dr. Shah, you are so accomplished, wellness expert, board certified surgeon, published author, entrepreneur, founder of Next Health, and super excited to talk not only about all the different surgeries and procedures and trauma and reconstruction and all the wonderful things that you've done for so many people over the years, but also talking about your world's first and largest health optimization and longevity clinic. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me, Pamela. I love the work that you're doing and honored to be a guest on your show.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about how you became a doctor at the age of 21. I mean, what kind of started you on this journey? And you've accomplished so much, and kind of what's in this next iteration of everything that you're working on.
Yeah. So I think I have a little bit of ADD in the medical world, and I've had multiple careers in medicine so far, but I did get started really early. When I graduated from med school, I was 21 years old. I did my first surgical procedure when I was 21, and I fell in love with surgery. So for many years, I did surgery, trauma surgery, and then I did that for about 8 to 10 years. And then after that, reconstructive surgery. And then I kind of found myself operating 14, 15 hours a day, 5 to 7 days a week sometimes. And so I was living this surgeon lifestyle, just working a lot and working all sorts of hours, not sleeping well, eating whatever's in front of me. And I found myself as a physician just getting really sick myself. And so I was on multiple medications to treat high blood pressure, to treat autoimmune problems. I was also like 45 pounds overweight. And about 10 years ago, 10 years ago today, my son was born. And I decided at that point in time, as many of us do when we have our first child, that we need to stay alive a lot longer so we can see these kids grow up, right? And I decided that moment also that I wanted to change my career, number one, to something where I could actually take care of myself. But also I was kind of jaded with Western medicine. I was just like, no one's telling you how to stay healthy. It's all about treating a disease with surgery or with pills. So I decided to do the opposite. Number one, to get myself well, but also to help my patients get well without surgery, without pills. And I went down an educational pathway where I became a dietitian, I became a certified personal trainer, and I also discovered functional medicine and learned functional medicine. And that was a game changer for me. And for your audience members that don't know what functional medicine is, it's treating disease at its root cause, so you never get into a disease state in the first place. And all disease stems from a few common causes that we can treat or manage with good lifestyle choices. And those are things like inflammation, hormonal disturbances, too much toxin exposure, et cetera. And it's miraculous how, number one, I got myself healthy within 6 months, and I was able to teach my patients how to do the same thing without taking medications, without having to undergo like weight loss surgery and things like that. So when I was able to figure this out for myself, I said, I'm going to change my entire career into this. And so we started Next Health with our health optimization and longevity clinics about 8 years ago.
Okay, which is awesome. Now there's so much there. If you were to just chat with someone and say, okay, so here's kind of some easy things to start with to reduce inflammation, toxic overload, whatever that, that there's things that are easy. There's things that are hard. What do you kind of start with? What do you like to kind of look at first?
Yeah, so I sit down with my patients all the time, and we go over a specific kind of program that I have, and it's a paradigm that I put together for them. And it's a wheel, and I call it the wellness wheel. And there's 12 aspects of wellness. So we start off with the basics. Like if we can't get the basics right, then nothing else is really going to work. And we all know what those are. Those are nutrition, sleep, and our exercise routines. And so really dialing that in. And what I focus on is a 20% of the information that's going to give you the 80% of the results, right? And so really getting people to hone in on, don't go down a rabbit hole on these things. Let me tell you, here's 5 things that you need to do on each one of these that are going to get you in a good health routine, a good health habits, right? And then once we get those down, we then move on to the next three things, which are how do we prevent you from dying? So how not to die, I call it. And we all know that the top reasons people die in the Western world are from heart attacks, from cancer, and eventually from Alzheimer's as well. Those are if you look at the CDC's top 10 causes of death, those are right up there. So we do diagnostics and mitigation of these three risks. And it's actually the same thing, Pareto principle. There's certain things you do that can prevent you from getting these diseases, but also it's really about prevention and early diagnosis. I always say, if you could treat heart disease when you have your first narrowing of your blood vessel versus like really narrowed versus blood vessels, or you could treat Alzheimer's way before it even becomes cognitive impairment, or cancer being diagnosed as stage 1. Cancer's biggest enemy is being diagnosed as stage 1, right? So we put into place diagnostics to get them give us a sense of security that these reasons that usually take out most people and cause them to die we could take those off the table pretty much completely, believe it or not. And then once we have that down, then we go into functional medicine. Now we talk about how to really improve your health with healthy habits. And we talk about hormonal health. We talk about detoxifying your life and your gut health. And also part of this is emotional and mental health as well. And then once we get those 4 parts of functional medicine right, then we start introducing some of the latest stuff in longevity technology. Now that we can add health span to your life, how do we add lifespan and add more years to the end of your life? So that's kind of the whole paradigm that we go through with our patients. And it always starts off with getting some blood work, getting some scans, and really understanding their current state of health. And then we can sit down and create a plan for them.
No, that's awesome. So what are some of your favorite diagnostics to start with so that people understand, here's kind of the data that I'm working with?
Yeah, so I always give people the tools and the ability to become the CEO of their own health. And the example that I use is a lot of us run businesses, or we help to run businesses, and we all are held to looking at KPIs on a regular basis, right? So I give people, what are the 15 KPIs of your health that you need to know? So some of those numbers tell us if we're going to get metabolic disease like insulin resistance or diabetes. That particular one is called the hemoglobin A1C. Heart disease is monitored by cholesterol levels. Cholesterol levels is the old way of monitoring risk for heart disease. A new one is called ApoB. ApoB is a test that we use to monitor for that. And then for cancer, we do the regular screening, but we also have people do a full body MRI and with cancer screening too. There's a new test out. It's a blood test called a liquid biopsy, and we get that in all of our patients as well. And so this is just a few of the tests that we use. We actually do over 250 different biomarkers and genetic screening as well to really dive in. But I think a lot of it is just empowering our patients to really understand what they can do and how they can affect these different biomarkers. So giving them the tools to monitor those as well.
So that's pretty interesting, though. So back to the cancer one, I have to ask, what is liquid biopsy? I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, this is a revolution in cancer diagnostics. It's going to change the way we deal with cancer in the Western world and all over the world. So what we can now do with these rapid DNA sequencers, it used to take months to sequence DNA. Now with recent discoveries, you can sequence DNA pretty quickly. And you can apply artificial intelligence to that to really look at each little bit of DNA that we find in your blood. So it's a blood test, and in your blood, there's tons of DNA. There's DNA being shed from your organs. There's DNA in your blood cells, et cetera. But there's also, when you have a tumor, the tumor sheds DNA as well. And we can find these tumor DNAs, it's called cell-free DNA, in your blood work with a simple blood test. And within a week, we get the results back. And so we can find 50 different cancers at stage 1 or stage 2. If we're lucky, we can find them much, much earlier. But also cancers that are typically very difficult to diagnose, we can find way before they become symptomatic. Like a lot of cancers, like pancreatic cancer, for example, most people find it way too late. It's when they start having stomach aches and other symptoms, then we finally start looking for it. Well, with this test, you can find it much earlier, stage 1 or stage 2.
That's pretty awesome. It seems like everybody should do that twice a year or once a year.
They should. Yeah, you think like insurance would pay for this, and like the rate of cancer would be, and treatments would be. You'd save so much money not doing radiation and chemo and everyone getting diagnosis to cancer at a late stage. So hopefully there's a time that comes soon where these tests are just, a few dollars and everyone can do these on a regular basis.
Do you find that most of this has to be out of pocket because it's considered not necessary, even though it kind of is necessary if you really think about it?
Yeah, it's sad because I think Western medicine is just so disease focused, and it doesn't pay for this stuff, and there's not a lot of money dedicated to preventative, proactive medicine. Out of our entire budget that we spend on healthcare in the United States, only 2% goes towards proactive medicine. So none of the stuff people are paying for, insurance is paying for, and so people are paying for it out of pocket. And a lot of people unfortunately can't afford this. This stuff is expensive. Right now, the liquid biopsy costs $800. A full body MRI is around $2,500. But I think what's really going to happen over the next few years is that this technology is going to get less and less expensive to where we're going to see exponential drop in cost of this, and people will be able to afford this. And I would say you can't really afford to be sick either, right? Like you want to live as long as possible, be healthy in those years. So the more you can do this preventative and proactive, it's worth the investment.
No, that's awesome. And with these clinics, do you call it a clinic or do you call it a center?
Yeah, we call them clinics. Yep.
So you've got them opening all over the world, which is pretty amazing. Is it a membership model? Is it something that you can go to once or twice and understand more about it, and then kind of dig in, get your feet wet a little bit, so to speak, and then go in further? Or what does that look like?
Yeah, it's both. I mean, we encourage people to get memberships because we also have on-site health optimization technology that's been proven to work. So things like we all know, like the benefits of heat sauna, cold therapy, the benefits of light, the benefits of oxygen. So we have LED beds, and we also have hyperbaric oxygen chambers. We have cryotherapy chambers. We have heat saunas. So what a lot of people do is they get a membership and they come like on a weekly basis to do these technologies, and they can keep themselves healthier. And then we also do the diagnostic testing as well, like I mentioned, and we have doctors on site to review all the results and help you formulate a plan. So yes, we are a membership model, but a lot of people come just one time in, they do all the diagnostics. We can do all the diagnostics in 3 hours. And then by Zoom, we can give them the results and a plan. The key is the plan of what to do with these results. I think a lot of times people go and get a bunch of diagnostic tests randomly, and they don't know what to do with the information. And so that's where we come in and we curate the information for people.
And then the doctors that you have, are you teaching them the protocol? Do they have a certain licensure? And then kind of talk to us a little bit, because it seems like the medical profession is changing.
Yes, it is. And so I mentioned functional medicine to you earlier. So our doctors are functional medicine trained, and we've come up with the protocols. And yes, we do make sure all of our doctors know the latest in medical technology and how to implement these treatments. And we are constantly training and constantly learning more. But it's really important to have that functional medicine background, so you know that we're not trying to treat a disease with a pill. We're trying to prevent disease in the first place. And so just having that right mindset, I think, is also very important. Now, look, doctors and Western medicine hospitals are great for when you're sick. Our goal is really to never have you go to a hospital in the first place. And so we're trying to take care of the 95% of us that are not sick, that we don't have to be in a hospital. We don't have to see doctors for chemotherapy and things like that, but we don't want to ever get to that point in the first place. And that's where we're focusing our efforts.
One of the biggest challenges I had when my son was sick, and it took a long time to find the right doctors that were integrative and functional in nature, that were willing to work with us and fix him, so to speak. Do you work? I mean, pediatricians are just really, really struggling. Do you work with kids at all, or do you have any suggestions on how to find, doctors for kids or teenagers? Or
yes, there are a lot of functional medicine trained pediatricians now as well. And so there's a great website called ifm.org, the Institute of Functional Medicine.org, and there's a physician finder on there. And I believe you can search by age group as well, so you can find a pediatric functional doctor.
Yeah. Yes, it's
But
tough.
you're absolutely right. It's so needed.
Yeah. Back to nutrition for a minute. Everyone has different opinions on food and what's good, what's bad. What is your take on all this and everything you've learned over the years and helped so many people?
Yeah. So the one thing I will say for nutrition in general is there's no one plan that's right for everybody in the world. Okay. But there are certain truths to nutrition that are indisputable. You cannot dispute a few things. One is ultra processed food is definitely causing a lot of problems. So refined grains, sodas, chips, desserts, anything in a box with a million ingredients and chemicals, you should stay away from that. Eating a whole foods diet is definitely the way to go as much as you can, 95% of the time, right? Secondly, we know for sure is that more and more people are getting diabetes, metabolic dysfunction, insulin resistance. So everyone needs to learn how to keep their sugar levels under control, their glucose levels under control. There's really good technology now to help us learn how to do this. It's called a continuous glucose monitor. So I have all my patients get a continuous glucose monitor and wear it for 6 weeks and really educate themselves, not just on what's causing their sugar to spike, but also how to eat again. So if you eat your fiber before your carbohydrates, your glucose doesn't spike. But if you do it the other way around, it does. And so like whenever you go to a restaurant, right, what do they give you first? Bread. It's the exact opposite. They should be giving you the veggies first. So that's the second thing about. And then the third thing about nutrition that I think everyone needs to know is that we're not getting enough protein in our diet. So whether it comes from animal sources or it comes from beans and vegan sources, you just got to focus on getting more protein in your diet. And we try to aim for zero point 0.8 milligrams per pound of body weight. So, whatever your body weight is, divide that by 0.8, and that's how much protein you need. Or multiply it by 0.8. That's what protein you need per day.
What about fasting? That's a big thing right now. Helpful, not helpful, kind of a short-term versus a long-term fix. There's so many different opinions on all of this, I think.
Yeah, but I think the science is more and more clear now, though, that also fasting is not great for everybody. Fasting is good for people that have problems with their overall caloric intake. So, if you skip a meal, you cut your caloric intake by a third, that's fantastic. And then you lower your, your weight, your metabolic disease risk, et cetera. However, many people, when they're fasting and their weight goes down, they're actually just losing lean body mass, not fat. They're losing actual lean body mass. And so if that's happening, fasting is definitely not right for you. I think women have a lot more problems with fasting, especially in hormonal regulation as well. So I find more women do worse when they're fasting versus better. And also, I think that there's a lot of people that need more protein, like we were discussing earlier, that shouldn't fast. They should have a protein shake or eggs or something in the morning as well to supplement their protein, especially as you get older. Fasting as you get older, you're just going to lose lean body mass. And that's a huge risk for decreasing your lifespan and your healthy years as well. As far as long-term versus short-term fast, long-term fasts have been shown to clear what's called senescent cells. These are zombie cells that live in your body that are dead, but just toxic burdens to your body. And so if you do like a 5-day water fast or like a prolonged type of fast, maybe once every 6 months or every quarter, that can be very helpful for clearing these toxic cells from your body. But the short-term fasts don't really do that. So I think short-term fasts are good for some people. Some people are super successful on it and love it. But if you try it and you just are not successful on it, or you're losing skeletal muscle mass, or you just find that you're low energy and your sleep is not good, I would abandon it, to be honest. Don't force yourself to do it.
Yeah. And then what do you find are good supplements for people to take on a regular basis? I mean, assuming you've got your nutrition locked in, you're doing as well as you can. But, it's my understanding that the food supply still doesn't provide enough vitamins, even if you're eating 100% correct. What do you like to supplement in just to make sure that the body's operating a little bit smoother?
Yeah, that's a great question. And there's a few supplements I consider very basic for everyone to have a ton of research behind them that I know everyone would benefit from. And I have all my patients take them. One is vitamin D3K2. 80% of Americans are deficient in vitamin D. We just don't get out in the sun enough. So vitamin D3K2 is the form you want to take. The second one is some sort of fish oil supplement, and it's an omega-3 supplement, either from fish oil supplement, krill, or they have algae sources now for vegans and vegetarians. Thirdly, I would say magnesium. Almost everyone needs more magnesium, and it's great for your sleep, your mental health, and also your gut. And fourth and fifth, there's two supplements that I think have a lot of research behind them to show that they help you maintain muscle mass and also maintain your mood and stress levels. That's ashwagandha, which I really like, and also creatine. So 5 to 8 grams of creatine has been shown to help you maintain muscle mass and be protective for your brain as well.
So that's pretty interesting. So I have a couple of teenage sons, and creatine's obviously a big thing in the house in terms of making sure that they're building muscle mass. But I hadn't really thought about that in terms of protecting the brain. And so for women, it's okay. You're not going to get too big, too bulky. And how is creatine? Because from what I understand, creatine helps the muscles absorb more water. So how is that working on the brain?
That's one of the mechanisms. Creatine is actually involved in many biological processes. And a lot of the research being done around creatine, I don't think anyone really knows exactly how creatine is neuroprotective, but it's been shown in many studies to be neuroprotective, decreasing the rate of mild cognitive impairment, increasing your ability, increasing multiple cognitive abilities, actually. So taking creatine for a week and doing the same tests off of creatine, like a placebo versus creatine, people improve their cognitive abilities quite substantially.
And so when you're doing it, not necessarily for muscle mass, but more for protecting the body, do you prefer that in the morning or with a meal, or what do you find? Because like my son, I know he's got to do it, at a certain time. I can't remember his formula, but it's either before the workout or after the workout or whatever that looks like. But different, I'm sure, here.
Yeah, I just make it as easy as possible for people. Everyone has like a morning coffee or a morning smoothie or a morning glass of water. You can just mix it into that, and it's 1 scoop is 5 milligrams to 8 milligrams. It's not a lot, and you don't even taste it really, and it's much easier. I think people that are working out or going to the gym and trying to build muscle. It's also beneficial to do it pre-workout, but some of them do it post-workout as well. So the jury's out on that one, but first thing in the morning.
Okay, great. What else am I leaving out in terms of longevity, overall health and wellness? What else would you love to share?
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't really have a clear idea of what their hormones are doing. And this becomes incredibly important after the age of 40 for both men and women. Women especially, like the lack of estrogen after menopause is a huge risk factor for brain disease like Alzheimer's and other neurocognitive diseases, and also we know weak bones, etc. And for men, having a low testosterone actually increases your risk for cancer, increases your risk for Alzheimer's disease, increases your risk for heart disease as well. So I would say, if you're over the age of 40, 45, even especially 50, definitely go get evaluated, get your hormones evaluated. A lot of primary care doctors won't do it. They'll just say, you're fine. It's normal to get old and lose your hormones. And a lot of them will get the results back and say, your estrogen or your testosterone is normal for your age. And really, that's not what you want. You need it to be, your hormone levels should be where they were when you were in your 20s, not normal for your age. So I'm a big believer in hormone support, and you don't have to take hormones to do that. There's other ways of getting your hormones to be at a level that's protective through exercise, through supplementation, et cetera. But I would definitely, dive into that a little bit. And if you can't, go to a doctor that specializes in it so that you can really understand it. And secondly, gut health too is also extremely important. We know now the gut-brain connection, the gut-heart connection is very strong. What's going on in your gut is affecting your brain and every organ in your body. So if you're not in good gut health shape, you're bloated, you're having diarrhea, constipation, reflux disease, all these things, definitely work with someone to figure that out as well. And lastly, you have to detoxify your environment. We live in the most toxic society environment that has ever existed for humanity. It's in the air, it's in the water, it's in our food, it's in the cosmetics we put in our skin. Learn how to detoxify your environment. And the Pareto principle works really well for that. You only have to do a few actions to really cause a massive detoxification of your environment. For your air, getting an air filter in your bedroom and your work environment. For your food, eating organic. For your water, drinking out of glass bottles, reverse osmosis system in your house. And for your cosmetics, there's a great app called Think Dirty where you can scan the barcode of your cosmetics and your lotions and your soaps, and it gives you a score of how many toxins are in this, and it will suggest alternative products with less toxins. So it's easy to do some of this stuff. It's just, it's a little bit of work up front, but the benefits they mount over time. And so I would definitely look into some of this if you can.
Yeah, no, those are great suggestions. Back to the hormones for a minute. So what are some foods that you can, so that's one of the big things in my family. We've got a history of cancer. And so there's always been this big push for women in the family not to take hormones. And, but true, it creates other issues. And so what kind of foods do you like or dislike in terms of making sure that people are protecting their hormones?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain superfoods out there. I think a lot of phytochemicals and phytonutrients are important. So getting 500 to 800 grams of high fiber, low starch vegetables per day that are organic and well sourced or from your local farmer market is good. And 500 to 800 grams of vegetables a day, I mean, that's a lot, right? That's like 2 full salads. So really getting those in. That fiber is so protective against colon cancer and many other forms of cancers because it feeds your gut bacteria. So just taking that in supplement form is not going to it's helpful, but it's much more helpful to get the fiber in with it. So I would definitely focus on very colorful vegetables and leafy greens as much as possible. And it's, believe it or not, too, spices. Add spices to every meal, everything you cook. Things like curcumin and oregano, all the spices are very helpful in protecting you from inflammation and also cancer.
What about testosterone for men? I mean, does that need to be taken through a strong form, so to speak, or are there certain foods or supplements that can help supplement men?
Yeah, ashwagandha can definitely help you raise your testosterone level. There's a few other supplements that have been shown to raise testosterone levels. I would say, though, that, no one has to do testosterone supplementation, but I could tell you that most of the men I see, their testosterone is tanked due to stress, due to poor quality sleep. And you really want to get your testosterone up with lifestyle modifications. So sleeping 8 hours a night, also making sure that you're lifting heavy weights 3 to 4 times a week. That really helps get your testosterone up. But if you can't get it up with your lifestyle modification, then definitely I would consider testosterone supplementation. I myself am on testosterone supplementation. I'm a big believer in it. It's protective against almost all forms of chronic disease.
Yeah, that's super. Thank you for sharing. Anything else I missed?
No, I think you got it. I mean, we talked a little bit about some of the stuff we do at Nextel for longevity. There's so much coming out in the next few years in longevity technology to really reverse biological aging. And I think people really need to keep their eye on this because it's going to make a massive difference. The technology is just getting better and better. And if you are not doing sauna therapy, cold plunges or cold showers and light therapy, you should really think about adding those to your daily health routine.
How often should you do something like that?
Every day if you can. I mean, light therapy is as easy as going out in the sun first thing in the morning and spending 20 minutes outside and go for a walk or something. Cryotherapy or cold therapy is easy as taking a cold shower in the morning. And, if you can get a sauna in your house, that's fantastic. There's a lot of companies selling home saunas now as well.
That's super. Where are the clinics now and where are they coming?
Yeah, so we currently have 3 clinics in Los Angeles, one in New York and one in Maui, actually, the Four Seasons, Maui. But we have about 20 to 30 locations opening next year. We have 2 locations opening in Dubai. We have a few locations opening in Canada, some more in California, Miami, Florida, Texas, the Carolinas. So we'll be in a lot more places and people will be able to find us there. Next Health is the name of the brand. The website is www.next-health.com. And you can find me on my Instagram, which is @Darshan Shah MD.
Thank you. And I'll be sure to add all of this into the notes too. So thank you so much, Doctor. Really appreciate having you on today.
Yeah, no, this was a lot of fun, Pamela. And I know we covered a lot of ground here, but I talk about a lot of this on Instagram. I also have my website, drshaw.com. There's a lot of my blogs on there as well that people can read to dive in deeper.
Great. Thank you so much, Doctor.